Denny Hamlin steals the win on Sunday. William Byron basically handed it away. Was this a good race? And no, Bubba Wallace didn't intentionally spin out Kyle Larson. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. Denny Hamlin stole a win on Sunday at Darlington like he was Alex Bowman in 2021. And remember, he got called a hack for doing that? Denny Hamlin does it, and hey, he just capitalized on the moment. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about how Denny Hamlin leads 10 laps, steals the win away from William Byron, who led the first 243 laps of this race. Let me repeat myself. The first 243 laps from lap 1 to lap 243, it was the William Byron show, like he was Jeff Burton at New Hampshire in 2000. But from the start, was this a good race? I'm going to give this race somewhere between a 68 and a 70. I'm not going to go to the middle because that'd be too nice. Overall, this race was fine. It wasn't the best Darlington race we've ever seen. It wasn't even as good as Darlington Spring last year, but it was a formidable race. Yes, you had William Byron get out there and just absolutely dominate this race. Swept stage 1, swept stage 2, looked like he was going to pitch a shutout. And honestly, I kind of was hoping that he would, because it'd be one of the craziest stories in modern era NASCAR. Obviously, Jeff Burton did in 2000, but they ran restrictor plates in New Hampshire that year because of the unfortunate events that happened before that race. So it's not... Yes, he did it, but there was an aid for that. Here, you can argue the taper spacers, but for the most part, it's something unlike anything we've ever seen. Martin Truex Jr. is probably the last person that came close to doing that. Cook 392 out of the 400 laps, I believe. But for Byron, yeah, it looked like he was going to do that. And ultimately, I think the team just got too greedy, and that's why he didn't win this race. They were trying to get that lap, that undefeated lap, streak going, leading all of them, and ultimately it bit themselves there. But from the start of this race, things got off to a pretty hot and heavy start. On lap 4, Kyle Larson spins out by himself off the corner, and Tony the Tiger usually says, "That's great." Like that. Yeah, no, it was not great for Kyle Larson. He pounds the inside wall on the backstretch, and his day was done from there. The team went back and repaired the car, and they sent him back out, and he ended up being like 168 laps down. But he'll be a factor later in this race, unfortunately for him. On the restart there, after that lap 4 incident, we restarted on lap 8, I believe. And yeah, we had cars that pitted for tires and cars that stayed out. So you had new tires versus old tires. And by old tires, I mean cars that literally had 3 laps of green flag racing on them. And it kind of shuffled everything up, but it wasn't the big, advantage that you would see if those tires had maybe like 15 laps on them and those guys stayed out there. Lap 21 of this race, Noah Gragson and a couple other drivers, they lost internet in their pit boxes. And their pit crews are absolutely scrambling like iPad kid parents trying to find a screen to put their kid in front of. They ultimately got it all figured out there. Then on lap 24, a few laps later, Carson Hocevar spins himself out in turns 3 and 4. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I don't think he spun himself out intentionally. He pounds the wall back off of turn 2, has a left side tire, right side tire down, spins out on the apron right there, and told the team even was like, "Hey dude, on the SMT data, you're putting so much wheel into the car, like you have to have some sort of issue here." So that wasn't great for him. Getting stuck in traffic on Sunday in the race, not on your highway, in the race, was absolutely abysmal. If you got stuck in traffic and you didn't have a car that was just a little bit better than everybody else, you were doomed. And Denny Hamlin talked about that. Multiple drivers got stuck in traffic and just absolutely could not move at all. You had to have a really good race car on Sunday to be able to make up positions. There was good racing back in the field, but if you wanted to make up, make a run from the middle of the pack up towards the front, you were going to need to be a lot better. And you could maybe pass 2-3 cars around you, but for the most part, if you wanted to really advance your spots, you're going to have a pretty decent car on Sunday. Then late in that race, we had dudes out here, or not late in the race, late in the stage rather, we had dudes out there just absolutely skating around on old tires like they were Morgan Shepherd, and it was really fun to watch. That's what makes Darlington super fun, and I hope people can recognize that. Hopefully they can recognize the skill that it takes to drive these race cars and not spin out off the corner, because, well, that can happen pretty easily there. Then on lap 83, Carson Hocevar, who is multiple laps down, is racing the leader, William Byron, incredibly hard. And Byron is trying to put Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell a lap down each at that point. And Hocevar decides to drive up, put himself in the mix here. And granted, he can get his lap back, one of his laps. I believe he's 2 laps down at that point. But at some point, when you're racing the leader, as a car that's multiple laps down, you have to show some respect to the leader. And Byron was not happy about the way Hocevar was racing him. Ultimately, he gets underneath Hocevar off the corner exit there on turn 4, and he just doesn't give Hocevar any room. It's either lift or crash into the outside wall, and ultimately he ended up crashing. Hocevar did off the nose of Riley Herbst there. But it's just one of those things that Hocevar's got to learn. Like there's times to be aggressive, and then there's times to not be. And if he ever wants to end up at Hendrick Motorsports, he might want to, not piss off William Byron in that 24 car over there. William Byron wins stage 1, leads every lap. Dominant day for him. A little bit later on into stage 2, lap 135, Brad Keselowski loses the right rear wheel, and he spins out in the corner, and everybody is watching being like, oh, Brad just spun out. They have a right rear tire go down, and they show the replay, and I'm yelling from my couch, the lug nut's off. The wheel nut fell off. You can see it come off, and it took the booth 3 different replays to finally see it. But hey, at least they saw it, or at least somebody in the production trailer saw it and told them about it. I don't know if it's just me. I think I saw other people complaining about it, but the audio for the booth sounded completely off. Once again, for I guess this is about the 3rd week in a row that it's been like that, their voices sound incredibly flat. And it's not because they're boring in the booth, but it sounds like a actual audio issue that the production trailer should be able to fix, but they just have absolutely chosen not to, because the pit reporters sound fine, but the guys in the booth don't sound fine once again. So I don't know what they're doing there, but they need to do something to maybe enhance their voices a little bit. Then you had Greg Biffle join the booth. He was sleeveless, of course, so Cletus McFarlane is happy. And I thought Greg actually did a really good job and fit into the mix pretty well there. So I don't know if he wants to do more of it, but I certainly wouldn't be too opposed to it at all. Then you had Byron goes on to win stage number 2. And yeah, just was absolutely putting it on them. And you're like, all right, maybe we're going to get through this. And, Byron's going to actually lead every single lap. He goes on to have the most consecutive laps led to start a race since, Jeff Burton led all 300 of them at New Hampshire. So amazing achievement for them. But then in those final pit stops with 44 laps to go, on lap 244 rather, William Byron pits, and the team just left him out too long. They got undercut. Christopher Bell got in front of them. Tyler Reddick got in front of them. And they just were chasing this dream of leading every single lap. And it bit them. It absolutely bit them there. And it ended up dooming the race because they got stuck too far back into the mix there. And they couldn't make up the ground at all. His car was just absolutely terrible in traffic. Ultimately ends up catching up to Christopher Bell. But at that point, Ryan Blaney, who came from so far back. I mean, he was in McBee when they started this final run here through the sequence, and he still manages to get up there past both Christopher Bell and William Byron for 3rd and 2nd. And then he's chasing down Tyler Reddick, and it looked like Reddick was going to get redemption for last spring. Obviously, he and Buescher got into it last spring. Brad Keselowski goes on to win the race. And right as Ryan Blaney makes the pass for the lead, that would should have eventually gone on to win this race with his dad's avocado throwback paint scheme from the Busch Series, he, in his rearview mirror, watches Tyler Reddick as he passes him pound the outside wall in turn 2 there. Okay, that doesn't bring out a caution. It's just a big hit for Reddick. What brought out the caution was Kyle Larson was right behind him. Larson sees that happen. He checks up because he's not sure what the 45 is about to do there. And as he checks up, the 23 of Bubba Wallace hits him and spins the 5 out, brings out a caution. Hits the wall in the same spot that he did on lap 4 of the race. That sets up a green-white checker. Okay, William Byron has a chance here. Ryan Blaney still has a chance, but Ryan Blaney's pit crew has been a massive liability. And guess what? He goes in first. He comes out 4th from that pit stop sequence. Denny Hamlin's team gains him spots. He goes from 4th all the way up to 1st. Denny Hamlin goes on to win the race. Denny Hamlin on a restart is going to be unbeatable. Not saying he jumps the restarts, but he certainly gets the advantage that the leader has in the restart zone. And he rockets off. He ends up winning the race. William Byron in 2nd there, and Byron dominates the day and has to watch Denny Hamlin hoist the trophy instead of him. Just an absolutely brutal finish for Byron on Sunday. But like I said, I think they got too caught up in trying to chase that lap record. They wanted to win, or they wanted to lead all of them. Byron had the fastest car all day too, by a 10.5. He had the fastest lap, picks up that Xfinity fastest lap point, and there wasn't another person within a 10th of him in terms of speed. So yeah, bummer for Byron. He ends up, like I said, settling for 2nd. Christopher Bell comes home 3rd. Tyler Reddick 4th. Ryan Blaney P5. Chris Buescher 6th. Ross Chastain P7. Chase Elliott P9. Chase Elliott P8, sorry, Ty Gibbs P9, a top 10 run for Ty Gibbs. They picked up Cheddar Smith from Justin Haley, who has kind of always been Rodney Schiller's right-hand guy for a number of years now, so maybe that's helping out there as car chief. And then Kyle Busch gets a top 10 as well. Zane Smith, honorable mention, P12. Todd Gilliland, P15. Those FRM cars, they're quietly getting better, and I think that's a really good thing from there. So I think probably the two big talking points out of the weekend. William Byron, did he throw the race away? Yes, I think they did. I think they were absolutely chasing this lap record that they shouldn't have. They should have been focused on that win, but they got greedy in a sense. And yeah, you can say Denny Hamlin pitted after him, which, yeah, that's true. But at the same time, Denny Hamlin was not in the position that William Byron was in with a 4-second lead or 3-second lead when that pit stop sequence started. He ends up being about 6 seconds behind Tyler Reddick. So he lost a ton of time there because of that, and ultimately ends up costing him the race. I think the other big storyline that come out of this is going to be around the certain, sect of the fan base that's going to say that Bubba Wallace intentionally spun out Kyle Larson to try to help his teammate Tyler Reddick out. That is just vehemently not true. You can see on the SMT data that Kyle Larson hit the brakes right there because he was checking up because of Tyler Reddick. The lap before, he did not hit the brakes in that area. Bubba couldn't even see that Reddick hit the wall because he had Larson right in front of him, ends up running to the back of the 5, ends up costing Ryan Blaney the win rather. And yeah, he gave his teammate a shot, but to win the race, but ultimately not on purpose, just because there was an accident, and accidents happen sometimes. That's just what's true. You tell a child that when they pee their pants, you tell, NASCAR fans when an incident happens, that's not a conspiracy. Sometimes accidents just happen. So overall, I thought the race was fine. It's not one of those Darlington races I think we're going to remember anytime soon. We only would have remembered this race if William Byron led every single lap, because 1, people would have complained, and 2, we've never seen that happen before outside of that Jeff Burton. We have seen it happen years ago, but we haven't seen it happen since 2000. So it would have been a big time storyline. Ultimately, Denny Hamlin ends up winning the race. His 56th career win breaks a tie that he had with Rusty Wallace, which he tied him last week at 55. He's on pace to get 60, in his career. So good for him. I don't think he had the 11 against the world flag at the end of this race, which is interesting because the internet kind of mocked him for it last week. It was slightly cringe. I will say that. So let me know in the comments what you thought about the race. Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson incident, William Byron, I think getting greedy in my opinion. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at BreakHardBlog.